Angels, it's Haley Reese, and today's video is one that I am so ridiculously excited for because one of my favorite things to do is research into urban legends and see what kind of truth there was behind them or where they originated from. And that is exactly what we are going to do today with the legend of the Hookman. Before I get into today's video though, I would just like to very quickly let you guys know that today's video has once again been sponsored by Shudder, the best place to stream suspenseful, thrilling horror movies and shows. They have so very quickly become my favorite place to get my spook on. This winter season, I've been curling up with hot chocolate, watching movies on Shudder, and just getting that spook on because there's nothing more that I love than to watch the snowfall while I watch something really, really good and thought-provoking and I'm cozied up in my comfort of my home. You guys know if you love a good suspense movie, a good thriller, or a good horror film, there's not a lot of options to keep on finding ones that you have yet to see. And Shudder is a place where I don't think I will ever run out of good things to watch, and I don't think that I will ever stop getting spooked by these movies because they have the widest variety I have ever seen of horror films. So if you guys want to cozy up this winter and watch some really, really good horror films, I have a code that will give you a 30-day free trial to trial out Shudder rather than the regular 7-day. All you have to do is go ahead, click that link in the description, use my code, and you will have 30 days of amazing horror films. So today's video was actually inspired by Shudder because while I was watching some stuff on there, I saw that they had a documentary titled Killer Legends, and I was like, hold on. What in the world is this? And it's basically a documentary that takes you through a whole bunch of urban legends and tells you the origins of it, which is something that is right up my alley. So I was just like, oh my goodness, that is such a good video idea. I want to come on here and I want to share one of the most popular urban legends of the Hookman and kind of figure out where it originated from and what started it. So I'm sure we've all heard this urban legend. A couple pulls up to Lover's Lane or some sort of lovey-dovey park and they want to kiss and they want to have some special time together, and while they are making out, on the radio that is playing in the background, they hear that a psychopathic killer has just escaped from an institution nearby. Now there's a couple different versions of this. There's a version where they hear scraping on the car and the girl starts to get really scared and the guy doesn't want to pull away because he finally has the girl of his dreams, and when they do finally pull away, they see a hook on the door of the car. There's another one where they both just get spooked from hearing this on the radio and they both decide, hey, let's get out of here, and when they pull away, once again, there is a hook on the side. And then there's some grosser versions of this that are a lot more morbid, and those are where the girl's waiting in the car, the guy either goes to go pee in the woods or something, she hears about an escaped killer, and all of a sudden hears like a clunk on the roof and he's killed with a hook still in him. Oh, there's just a whole bunch of versions of this. But ultimately, the conclusion is when they pull away, the hook for a hand is attached to the car door and they nearly escaped death. Now there was a period of time where people thought this was a true story. There was a lot of teenagers and a lot of young people who way back in the 50s were like, this is true, there is a hooked killer, this really did happen somewhere. And then it started to become a blurred line of, was this real? Where did this story originate from? What on earth really happened? Now they say that the story actually originated back in the 1950s, and a lot of people believe that it originated to scare teenagers into like not sneaking off and doing bad things. So some people thought that it was made up in order to scare teenagers from going to places like Lover's Lane and all of these lovey-dovey spots and making out and whatever else might happen. They didn't want that to happen. So they figured if they made it sound like there was some sort of like psychopathic killer on the loose and that this had happened in the past, teenagers wouldn't go and do that. Now, I remember I had watched a documentary somewhere that there was actually a time where in this like area where teenagers would go to kiss and stuff, there was actually a series of murders. And this is true, but when I tried to do my research on like pulling it up with that little bit of information I recalled, I just got recent things. And I know this was way back in the day. And I remember that some people thought that this story was like an abbreviation of that serial killer who had killed a whole bunch of teenagers in this one like Lovers Park area. If you guys know what I'm talking about there, definitely let me know in the comments below, because I can't seem to pinpoint one particular serial killer because I can't seem to pinpoint one particular serial killer who did this while I was trying to research it. But I know a while back with this urban legend, people believed that it was like taken from that idea. Now, the first publication of this urban legend was in the 1960s, and there was a popular advice column titled Dear Abby. Now, a girl, Jeanette, wrote in. I'm gonna actually read it to you, and this was the first time that this story wasn't just spread mouth to mouth, wasn't just verbally spread, it was actually published or reposted as a submission into Dear Abby. So let's read that. So this was actually the Dear Abby insert, and it says, Dear Abby, if you are interested in teenagers, you will print this story. I don't know whether it's true or not. Some people say it is, and some say it isn't. But it doesn't matter because it served its purpose for me. A fellow and his date pulled into their favorite, Lover's Lane, to listen to the radio to do a little necking. The music was interrupted by an announcer who said that there was an escaped convict in the area who had served time for rape and robbery. He was described as having a hook instead of a right hand. The couple became frightened and drove away. When the boy took his girl home, he went to open the car door for her. Then he saw a hook on the door handle. I will never park to make out as long as I live. I hope this does the same for other kids. So like you just saw there, that was also a completely different version of the story. He was now a robber and a rapist rather than a murderer. But regardless, this story has been circulating for years. Now, there are some criminals who like used to like wear hooks as hands, like as a torture mechanism, and I'm not gonna get into that because we're not gonna get that dark, but there's lots of places that this story could have been taken from. A lot of people believe, like I had researched way back, that it was based off of a serial killer who killed teenagers while they went to like this Lovers Park. Other people believe that this urban legend was just completely made up because they wanted to scare teenagers exactly like it sounds like they scared Jeanette into never going and kissing in this park and parking your car to kiss and yada yada yada. I mean, it was the 1950s and the 1960s, so maybe they thought they were preventing pregnancies by doing this. But I mean, ultimately, there was no hook man whose hand was ripped off on the car door. I personally think it's probable that this was all a made-up thing to scare kids. I also think it could have been a scary story made to tell amongst teenagers to scare each other. But regardless, what do you think of this urban legend? Why do you think it was created? And do you guys think that it was based on something more real? Please make sure to let me know in the comments below. I'm really excited to rewatch Killer Legends because I'm interested to see which urban legends have true origins behind them. If you guys are interested in me finding some urban legends that are legitimately based on true stories, please make sure to let me know in the comments below that you guys want to see that as well, because that's something I'm interested in. So if you guys want to hear about it, of course, I want to share that with you guys, because this kind of stuff really, really interests me, and I'm always curious as to where things originated from. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. I know the hook man scared me so much when I was a kid, so I was interested to see the origin behind it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I also want to say a big thank you to Shudder for sponsoring today's video, and to encourage you guys that if you do enjoy horror movies and want to stream a whole bunch of them for free for 30 days, to click my link and use my code, because trust me, you guys, they have some really, really great stuff on there, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed, or I know you won't be disappointed in the slightest. If you guys enjoyed today's video but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos, so I don't want you to miss when I do upload, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you!